I bring to you Week 7 start sits Thursday night on a Wednesday with the Bourbon Dude. What's up, my man?
Oh, I'm living the fucking dream. Like always, I'm not letting anybody steal my thunder on that one today like Eric did last week. I'm sipping on a little bit of Old Elk Wheated, which is phenomenal if you haven't tasted it. Not to mention, it gives you an elk antler as the cork, which you can't fucking beat. Pretty badass. But I'm ready to talk some start sits Week 7. I'm ready to talk my Cleveland Browns. Hopefully a little bit of a bounce back game from a disappointing Week 6. But we'll talk all about that later on.
3-3 Browns versus a 3-3 Broncos. Stay for the second half. All Thursday night preview. We got a bunch of interest in this game because we don't know what the fuck we're walking into. A lot to talk about, guys. Obviously, subscribe to our YouTube channel. Leave a rating, review, all that good stuff. Obviously, go check us out at www.ffaffair.com. But it is Wednesday night. We got some guests, some fire guests. We're talking the kitty's titty. Well, not really a titty, but you get it. We got two guys I've kind of grown in this space with. I'm pumped to talk to them. Let's bring in my buddy Gary first. Gary was on Quick Hitters during the summer, hitting it hard and hitting it fast. And he is in Broncos territory, and he's here tonight to deliver the goods. Gary, welcome to the show, my man.
MattyDaddy and Bourbon Dude. Okay, here to represent.
Woo!
Check it out right here. Hold on. Right there we go. Represent. Thanks for having me on. This is going to be a great time.
One in hand? Ah, look at that.
Light beer from Miller, you know.
I like it.
Nothing wrong with that, dude. I'm loving it, dude. And Gary, you were on my show, Quick Hitters, during the summer, dude. I met you. You've just been just a cool-ass mother trucker. So I'm glad to have you. Loved what you're doing in the fantasy universe. And I'm glad to have you tonight. We got one more guy. You ready to bring him in?
Let's do it.
Nah.
He hails from
my
Colorado, that Rocky Mountain way. Da-na-na. Nate Polvig. I can't say it. I'm Nate from Polvig. Anyways, I'm butchering it. He currently resides in Denver or Colorado, but I know he spends most of his time in Mexico. Tijuana Flats, baby. Let's bring him in from IDT Media. I butchered him. Nate, what's up, dude? My first ever guest on our live stream. And you're back tonight, 10:20, to bring the heat.
Oh, man. I totally was your first guest. That's right.
Hell yeah.
That's right. Dude, that's awesome.
You're at the beach. Awesome.
Yeah. We do spend a lot of time in Mexico. That's true. And it's Polvo, like politics and vote.
Polvo. Got it.
Yes. Yes. Thanks for having me, man. Stoked to be here. Stoked to talk some Broncos Browns. Not stoked about my Broncos right now, though.
Dude, they start off hot 3-0, and now they're 3-3, and I'm sure Brad Bourbon Dude feeling the same way.
I'm trying to cover up the sun. I can't do it.
So much going on.
Jen and I were talking about it earlier today, and both of us were like, Browns are going to kick the shit out of the Broncos this week, aren't they? I'm like, yeah, probably. It's just
interesting, though, because we have so many injuries. So many start sits with this game. Like, what do you do with the running backs, Ernest Johnson? What do you do, with Teddy B, the way he played last week? A lot going on, guys. Before we get to that, let's talk start sits. Before we do start sits, Brad, fill us in on Thrive, my man.
Oh, my goodness. All right. I don't know where you guys live. Obviously, it looks like something like the Denver area. You get to do sports betting. You get to parlay player props together and hope for that big-time money. I'm in the shitty state of Ohio. You can't do any of that stuff, right? You're not allowed to do any kind of sports betting. The nice thing about Thrive is it's DFS, but it's DFS with player props, which is awesome. You pick 10 out of 20 player props, over under on touchdowns or completions or rushing yards and passing yards or rushing yards and receiving yards, all kinds of cool shit. You pick your favorite 10 and it's all points based. So that shitty stuff like Las Vegas where you miss one prop and you lose all your money to Vegas, that's not a thing with Thrive. It's all points based, and all you got to do is finish in the top half in a 50-50, or you finish in the points. That's it. That's all you got. You could theoretically finish 5 out of the 10 player props and still be in the money. It's a daily fantasy sports app you can get on your phone, on mobile, or you can go to thrivefantasy.com, use promo code FFAffair, all caps, and go win yourself some money.
That's right. FF Affair, Thrive Fantasy. Guys, if you want to bet, if you want to win some cash, this is the place to do it. Everybody's got start-sit questions. It's week 7. A lot on the line here, guys. Gary, we're going to go quarterbacks first. I'm going to let you and Brad tell us your start at the QB position. For this episode, we're going to have Gary, total package over there, doing quarterbacks, receivers. Nate, have yourself a drink. You're hitting it hard and hitting it fast with the RBs and tight ends. So let's start. Gary, dude, quarterbacks. There's so many to pick from. We have seen the shit show of production from those QB2s. We've seen the solidness of the Kyler Murrays, players like that. So who is your start of the week at quarterback position?
All right, so start of the week for me, Matt Ryan. And I know what you're saying. You're saying, hey, Gary, why Matt Ryan? I thought he was washed. And
hey, Gary, why Matt Ryan? I thought he was washed.
Exactly. And I would say to you, Matty, you're absolutely right. I thought he was washed too. But they were coming into the bye this week. The 2 weeks before that, he finished number 3 and number 12 in fantasy points overall. This is the beginning of a streak, maybe. I don't know. He's, so they had a bye week to recharge, right? So they're going to come in fresh. The Dolphins have just been giving up. They've just been bleeding fantasy points to quarterbacks. We love that. Calvin Ridley's back. He took a week off last week, so now he's going to be with the team. Russell Gage is back from his injury from like the first week. And then, of course, the beast himself, Kyle Pitts, came out on the London game, and he's ready to keep going. I'm a Kyle Pitts guy. So you get the weapons like that. You've got a bad defense that he's playing against, and you got Matty Ice for the win.
All right, so Nate, because he just said Matty Ice is his start, and we're taking that from a redraft perspective. But here at Fantasy Affair, we also tackle Dynasty. So being Matty Ice is, 36 years old? We've seen these quarterbacks played about 39, 40. Is this a guy you're buying in Dynasty, Nate?
No. No, he's too old.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
What about you, Bourbon Dude? Any thoughts on Matt Ryan from a Dynasty perspective?
No, I mean, I guess you could find yourself in a situation where you're a contender and you need that third quarterback. That'd probably be the only chance that I would go and get a guy like this, and mainly because you could get him stupid cheap, and he's going to give you those weeks like what Gary was talking about, number 3, number 12 mixed in here or there. I do believe that he's going to start to pick up a little bit, right? You got a new offense that he's picking up for, so it's going to take a couple games to get there. They lose Julio, so now he's got even more of a change. So I can buy the dip in production those first 3 weeks or 3 or 4 weeks. So, but from a dynasty perspective, unless I need that third quarterback to go, chase a ship, there's no way I'm going after this guy.
Yeah,
right.
I don't see him getting hot. Like their schedule doesn't dictate that he's going to have a point where he's going to get a super weak defense where he can light it up.
Yep.
Well, guys,
Except for hopefully week 7.
Yeah. We got our first start-sit question. Ryan Tannehill or Derek Carr? Ryan Tannehill has Kansas City this week, and we've seen how dog shit ugly he's played. And we got Carr against Philly's defense. Let's go to Brad first. What are your thoughts on these two?
Oh, man. See, this is so beautiful because that rolls right into my start of the week of Derek Carr, right? There's been a lot of clouds over the Las Vegas Raiders here the last couple weeks. You saw a couple poor weeks from Derek Carr. Then he comes out last week against the Denver Broncos, who has a pretty solid overall defense, new head coach, all the drama surrounding John Gruden, and plays one of his best games of the year at this point, right around 25 fantasy points, threw for almost 350 yards, 2 touchdowns, no interceptions against like I said, a secondary that's pretty solid when you look at Justin Simmons and Kyle Fuller and Patrick Surtain getting rushed from Von Miller and Bradley Chubb, right? That's a pretty good outing for Derek Carr. So I'm putting my faith in Derek Carr again, going up against Philadelphia, a team that has not really had the best secondary outside of Darius Slay, who still is a baller in my book at the corner position. But outside of him, there's really nothing there. I just see with Ryan Tannehill, Derrick Henry. It's Derrick Henry every game, 150 plus yards, multiple touchdowns. The ceiling, I feel, is just capped with Ryan Tannehill right now because he's not producing like he produced last year because they really haven't won the game that they needed him to in the first week of the season. He just laid an egg, and that they haven't really needed him since then. So I'm going with Derek Carr here, mainly because I trust in the fact that their defense is also absolutely pitiful, and they're going to need to score some points to keep up. So I'm going Derek Carr out of these two.
I think they see Kansas City's defense, their secondary is one of the worst in the NFLs.
Yep.
So you think, okay, if I have Julio, if I have AJ Brown, I might get lucky here in this like spot start here. But yeah, you're playing with fire and you're going to get your ass burnt with Tannehill. Guys, Gary, Nate, I'll go to you first, Gary. You got Tannehill. He's playing like utter poop. 15 2 weeks ago, 12 last week. Are you taking the chance after you just saw what Carr did to your Broncos? Or what's your thought process on this one?
So my gut was to go to, when I saw this, I'm like, I'm going Tannehill. And then I just heard that eloquent and passionate speech, and I'm like, I think I'm a Carr guy now. I mean, that's good. You talked me into it. But my first thought was what you just mentioned, is that the Chiefs defense is just bleeding fantasy points to opposing quarterbacks. They might be in the bottom 5. I think they've given up. I mean, their defense overall hasn't played well, but I mean, quarterbacks against them have done really, really well. And if Tannehill's going to break out, this is the week. Yeah, I don't know. I'm leaning Carr now after hearing that. You got me all flustered there, man. Now I can't think of what I was going to say.
Nate, bring us home, baby. What are you doing here?
Okay, so I'm going Tannehill, and I'll tell you why. There's 2 reasons. One, the Eagles are giving up. Damn it, I just had it. The Eagles are giving up 25.4 points to the quarterback position versus the Chiefs, who are giving up 18 roughly to the quarterback position every week. So that said, this is a chance to rest Derrick Henry. The dude has been a workhorse, and Tennessee is going against a very subpar pass defense. If Mike Vrabel is smart, this is a week you go pass heavy because you can. You give Derrick Henry a rest. He doesn't need that many touches. You can kind of take him out of the offense for a lot of what you've been asking him to do, and you can lean on Ryan Tannehill, and you've got AJ Brown, who apparently just had food poisoning from Chipotle, and Julio Jones, who's dealing with an ankle issue, but I feel like we're going to see full Julio Jones next week. And even if we don't, you involve Derrick Henry in the passing game a little bit more instead of bullying him at the line. I feel like this is a week where Ryan Tannehill gets right, because this is a perfect situation to get him right. So I'm going Tannehill.
When it's tough too, because I've started Carr when I was supposed to start him, and he shit the bed on me. Like last week, right. I think he was my sit, and then he goes up and just balls. So it's really, these 2 quarterbacks are good start-sit questions because they offer that really low floor, or they play like QB1s. You just don't know what you're going to get. Great question. Brad, you said your quarterback start was Carr this week, correct?
Yep.
Let's talk QB sits then. Gary, you just bragged on Matt Ryan. Who are you not bragging on this week?
So this one seems kind of obvious, but it's more kind of geared towards someone that's maybe playing in a super flex league, because you're not going to start this guy if it's a single QB league, but it's Case Keenum. So he just found out today, I think, that he was going to be starting, and that Mayfield is going to be ruled out. So Bronco defense, they're like in the top 5 against the pass. I mean, they're going to lock you down besides Derek Carr, right? And then there's like injuries on the offensive line too. There's 3 of their offensive linemen that are questionable for this week. That just spells disaster for me. Oh, and he doesn't have Kareem Hunt and Nick Chubb. I mean, so there's not even the old, feed the running backs and kind of set up the play action. he's dead in the water. I mean, I think if you're playing like a Scott Fish, you're better off flexing a kicker or something if you were desperate at the quarterback position.
Whew, that's brutal. But to Keenum, he's in the Stefanski offense. We've seen him produce in the past with Minnesota, and he played for the Broncos, just a year ago? Was it 2 years? So he's kind of three, so probably not familiar with that Vic Fangio defense. Brad, Case Keenum, how hyped are you for as bad as Baker's played? What's your thoughts on Keenum here, man?
Does that answer your question?
Yeah, I mean, okay, so one thought I have is that Keenum is a really great relief quarterback. And we saw that this season. He spelled Bridgewater after the brutal knee injury and took them to the NFC Championship. Took them to the NFC Championship. There's a chance that Keenum comes in and lights it up. Now, given the running back situation, he's going to have to light it up. They're going to be relying on Keenum to throw the ball a lot because as much as you want Ernest Johnson to be a thing, he's not going to be a thing. You can spend all the fab in the world on him and pray to the fantasy football gods that he's going to get you more than 5 points, but it's probably not going to happen. So Keenum's going to have to throw the ball a lot, and volume is king in fantasy football. And if he throws the ball 50 times, completes 30 passes, who's getting those 30 catches? Donovan Peoples-Jones, Odell Beckham Jr. if he plays, David Njoku. Maybe Ernest Johnson gets some relevance out of the backfield with some catches. We don't know. But, I mean, I still wouldn't start him, though. That said, if you have to, if you have to, I have no choice. I had to pick him up off waivers, and I have to play him. I have zero. I don't have a choice.
But I wouldn't be surprised, though, if he puts together a solid game, right? He does, everybody's dogging Odell Beckham right now. If you go and watch the games that the Browns have played, Odell Beckham is getting open. Baker Mayfield just can't hit the broadside of a barn right now. Right. He just keeps overthrowing Odell Beckham on these deep routes, these deep crossing routes that he really should be hitting him on. Now, I think there's a world where Case Keenum is now hitting Odell on those deep throws.
Yep.
Jarvis Landry, somebody that's not mentioned, that's coming off of IR. He was designated to return last week. He's looking good right now, so there's a good chance that he plays. So now you have Jarvis Landry in there as well, which is going to help you a ton when you think about the pass rush of the Denver Broncos. Jarvis Landry close to the line of scrimmage. He's going to be that relief outlet. Not to mention, I absolutely love Demetric Felton, right?
Yes.
So if anybody's getting catches out of the backfield, to me, it's Demetric Felton. It's not going to be Ernest Johnson. Ernest Johnson is actually a solid RB3. I'm not saying this guy should be starting for an NFL team or anything like that, but to have this guy coming in, it could be worse, right? It could be DJ Dallas or something like that. Or, somebody I'm not really interested for, So I think they're going to be competitive. I think there's a world where you see low yardage but a high completion percentage for Case Keenum because they're missing those tackles and Jake Conklin and Jedrick Wills, right? That's a bad combo to be missing, and you saw how bad it affected their game plan last week. And this is going to be much more difficult of a feat because the front seven of Denver is so much better than the front seven of the Arizona Cardinals, even if they would have had Chandler Jones last week. So but yeah, there's no way this guy's in a starting lineup unless you are, like Gary said, you're in a super flex league, and let's say you had Baker Mayfield and Tua, right?
And that's where I'm at. I had Baker Mayfield, right?
So you're basically telling us you have a better chance of like picking up the quarterback for St. Mary's School for Girls than starting Case Keenum, whatever his name is. Brad, who's your sit, man? Is it Case Keenum too, or what's your spot here?
No, and I feel like this is kind of, as I'm looking through all these, I'm like, okay, this is obvious to me that you're not going to start this guy. But a lot of people are asking, like, should I start him? Because of what he did the first 3 weeks of the season. And that's going to be Sam Darnold. Again, in those super flex leagues that you're looking at, there is no way I'm starting this dude until he shows me what he can do again in some level of consistency. Since CMC has gone out, he's averaging 228 yards, 1 touchdown, and 2 interceptions a game. That is not a quarterback I want in even a super flex league right now. So I'm going to need to see it from him right now. Now, they're also playing the New York Giants. So that's where people are starting to say, well, yeah, but they're playing the Giants and the Giants suck, right? But I don't want to take that leap yet, right? They have a really solid corner in James Bradbury, who I think could possibly bait Sam Darnold into doing some really stupid things that we've seen him do over the course of the last 3 weeks. So I think he's going to continue to struggle, and I'm just not plugging him in my lineup anytime soon.
Well, so this is how we pivot, because you've said how bad Darnold has been. So, Nate, from a dynasty perspective, I remember when you came on the show, we were both similarly high on Darnold in Carolina. We both thought he was going to be productive, which he was, the first 3 or 4 weeks?
3 weeks. Yeah.
First
3 weeks.
And the situation is good. You have DJ Moore. You have CMC when he is healthy in the Matt Rule offense. So, question for you. In Dynasty, is now the time to buy because he's had these back-to-back boner dropper weeks? Or do you wait another week, think he's going to go in the Giants, shit the bed, and then you go after him?
So this is a multi-layered answer for me because of a few things, because we're talking Dynasty.
Right.
So we're talking overall situation, like outlook in the next few seasons. And this pains me to say, and there are a lot of people that are going to tell me I'm an idiot for saying it, but I think we've seen the last of the fantasy relevance for Christian McCaffrey. I think that team, but here's why. It's not a talent issue. The dude is endlessly talented. However, he's a smaller guy who has been asked to do, like, the volume for his first 3 seasons was insane. And then he started getting hurt. They were asking him to do too much, too often, and he was probably injured and playing through those first 3 seasons. I think his body's starting to break down. We're staring down the barrel of what I think is going to be 2 straight seasons where he plays 3 to 4 games, max. It sucks. He's a Colorado boy. I mean, I remember when he was in high school here and he was breaking state records his freshman year as a running back. The dude is a freak athlete, but this happens when you overuse a player because this is a very violent game. With that, I'm starting to have some questions about Sam Darnold. I need to see what Chuba Hubbard turns into, what he's capable of, if he's able to be that outlet for Darnold, because Darnold was good when CMC was healthy. When CMC wasn't healthy, Darnold has fallen apart. He needs that alpha running back, Christian McCaffrey type that can take the pressure off of him. If he doesn't have that, he's going to be trash. At this point now, I'm probably holding him. And I need to wait and see what happens with Chuba because his value it's not going to get much lower than it is now in Dynasty. You're not going to get anything worthwhile for him. So you might as well hold him, see how it goes. Most people weren't starting him in Dynasty anyway. He wasn't a key piece. He was a bye week fill-in for most because nobody trusted the change. So I'm holding him for now. I just don't think the value's there to trade him. If he goes up, awesome, and you can deal him, fantastic, or he's good for your rosters. But at this point, yeah, I just hold him.
Yeah, I think that's a good point, right? When you talk about bye weeks, because you got a lot of high-profile quarterbacks on the bye week this week. You got Dak Prescott, you got Josh Allen, you got Justin Herbert, you got Kirk Cousins, right?
Dude, it's brutal.
Yeah, it's brutal. Tough week for the quarterback position and really all across the NFL positionally. So there are probably going to be quite a few teams that are staring down the barrel of Sam Darnold. So I think it's a good conversation piece right now.
Yeah. I mean, I'd start him this week probably. I mean, the Giants are bad enough that he could at least not throw 3 interceptions.
That's great.
Yeah.
Guys, just Darnold, it's crazy to see how he started off so hot. And then some of these guys, we're still waiting to produce, like Justin Fields. Winston's hot and cold. So there's so many QB2s. Tannehill, who we just mentioned. This is what everybody needs to know. What quarterback do I stream? So you guys nailed it on the head. Let's pivot to RBs because there's probably, 10 true RB1s, and then it's a shit show. So, Brad, RB first. I'm going to go to you, and then I'm going to let Nate hit us with a start as well. Who do you have for us at running back?
Look, I feel like I was a broken record because as I'm scrolling through, I'm like, Darrell Henderson's a smash.
Every week.
You can't say that. This is every week. The guy's just proving it now, right? That's not fair to say, oh, you got to start a top 12 running back this week, right?
Crazy.
So I pivoted a little bit. I said, okay, who's been hot? Who's been cold? They're just alternating. And my guy is Damien Harris this week. So you think about the epitome of guys that are up and down. And really, you could tie any running back that is tied to the New England Patriots as one of those running backs who has up and down weeks, right? Because Bill Belichick will say, you know what? I want my Ramandrey Stevenson to really stick it to those fantasy owners this week, right? Or Rex Burkhead. He's going to have 3 inside the 5-yard touchdowns this week and really piss everybody off, right? But I think this week is a little bit different, right? He's going up against the New York Jets, who have allowed the most points to the running back position period this year. Not to mention that game script is most likely going to be in the favor of the running back for the New England Patriots. So I see a situation where you might have Damien Harris touching the ball 20 plus times. Last week, you saw him touch the ball 16 times plus 1 reception, and he scored a touchdown. His yards per carry was down a little bit, but he got you that touchdown. And I think you've seen enough from him that when he gets that volume, he's a guy that you can trust in your lineup. So that's why I'm plugging him in this week. I think the volume's there, and the defense that he's playing is weak enough to where you're going to have a pretty solid week.
I can respect that all around. I think that's a good play. Nate, running back starts. Who are you going with this week?
This is hilarious because I'm going with a running back on the same team. So first, I agree with you with Damien Harris. He's going to get the majority of the carries in that offense this week against a really putrid Jets team. However, the running back who's going to get the receiving work this week, for the most part, and some carries and probably some red zone work, is Ramandrey Stevenson.
Ooh, love it.
I know. So I've been banging the drum for Ramandrey since New England took him. I've been banging the drum for him before. I loved him heading into the draft. The dude's just kind of a bruiser back, power back, great between the tackles, but also he can catch the ball like we saw on Sunday against Dallas. You can rely on him not just on short routes, but on deep routes. And Jonnu Smith hasn't been that guy for Mac Jones, and Ramandrey Stevenson, after being put in timeout for the fumble week 1, Belichick's kind of let him out of the pen. Okay, we're going to see what we have with this dude. He was a 4th round draft pick, but you believe in the guy, you drafted him for a reason. I think he's going to start. This team needs to transition to a run first team. Mac Jones is very efficient, but his rookie season, you just don't want him throwing that much, especially given the receiving targets. There isn't a lot there. You've got Jacoby Myers, who still doesn't have a touchdown. They're not using Jonnu Smith. Hunter Henry is catching the ball, which is great. Nelson Aguilar, as we knew, he didn't lose those bricks on his hands. He's still dropping the ball, and they don't trust him. And while drops don't matter in some offenses, in New England they do, because Belichick doesn't allow for that. You don't drop the ball. If I can't trust you to catch it when it's thrown right to you, you're done. We saw it with N'Keal Harry as well. Ramandrey Stevenson can catch the ball. Mac Jones needs to get the ball out of his hands quickly, which he does well. That requires short routes. Ramandrey Stevenson is a guy who's going to kind of enter into that conversation, I think, especially against the Jets this week. And given that literally every other running back is on bye, he's a pretty good start this week, I think.
The thing I like about Stevenson is, for as big as he is, he plays a lot faster. He's a quick twitch athlete. This guy moves pretty good for being 240, 250.
He's a big dude.
The ball, come on, what's not to like?
He's like the running back equivalent of how I feel about Colin Johnson. who's now in New York. And I love Colin Johnson, man.
That's Nate's kryptonite.
He was a top-ranked receiver the year before he came out. Like, it's crazy how
that groin injury screwed him because he couldn't compete at the combine. He ended up going in the 6th round. And like draft capital matters in the NFL, and a 6th round guy, unless he's blowing your mind, isn't probably going to get very many opportunities. And he's not blowing anybody's mind right now because he hasn't had the chance.
Well, and if you think about it, not to go off on a complete tangent, right? But Colin Johnson has a special hatred in my heart because last year in the one opportunity that he got, he went like 6 for 6 for 150 yards against the Cleveland Browns.
And 2 touchdowns.
Yeah,
yes. He went off.
Right. So you saw what he could do. And then you saw the same thing a few weeks ago when he came in after everybody got hurt in that game and played really well. And you would think that coaches would be like, you know what, we might want to figure out
this guy some touches
more, and it's just not happening.
Well, the dude's 6'6". Like, so my comparison back in the day when I was with Fantasy Intervention, I did like a 3-minute breakdown of Colin Johnson, like mid-season. And the thing that blew me away from watching his film is for a dude who's 6'6", he cuts like a guy. He cuts like Devontae Smith, who's 5'8". And those little guys can move so quickly. He can do the same thing at his size. Just like, tangent.
Well, I'm ready to pivot. We've got another question from the audience. I'm going to go to you first, Gary, because we've seen what Bateman's the offseason hype. Then he had the core muscle injury, and we see him come in last week, and he ties the team lead with 6 targets. He's going up against Cincinnati this week. Are you ballsy enough to start Bateman this week against the Bengals, or is this you need to see more of it? Because we 4 of 6 targets for 29 yards. We saw him cut into Hollywood's target share. Thoughts on Bateman? Is it too early, or are you starting this guy? Yeah.
I mean, it depends on who else I have to start. I mean, but if it's, we got bye weeks and we have injuries and all this stuff, I wouldn't be afraid to put him in, see what happens. I mean, he like you were saying, he got the targets last week. You never know if you're going to get the look, get a long touchdown. I mean, roll the dice with the guy.
You got Lamar. That's a pretty big freaking deal. Brad, what are your thoughts on Bateman here?
I'd plug him in for sure. You've got a lot of guys gone. You've got your Pittsburgh Steelers wide receivers and Chase Claypool and Deontay Johnson gone. You've got Keenan Allen, Mike Williams out. You've got Stephon Diggs out, Emmanuel Sanders, Cole Beasley. You've got Adam Thielen and Justin Jefferson. Like, you've got a ton, plus all your Dallas wide receivers. You've got a lot of top-tier talent that is missing this week. So you're looking for a guy who could give you a little bit of volume, right? Rashad Bateman in his first game back had 6 targets. 6 targets in his first game. And that's in a game where Lamar threw the ball less than 30 times, which has actually not been the norm this year. That game script was very odd against the Los Angeles Chargers. You had them traveling from the West Coast to the East Coast. You had a little bit of that lag from that awesome game last week against the Cleveland Browns. There was a lot of hype and a lot of excitement, and they came out and just played really poorly. Right. So I think that game script looks a little bit different this week against the Cincinnati Bengals. It's an interdivision rivalry. You always see them play well against each other, especially when they have a good team. So now you're looking at Joe Burrow and company coming in and putting up points against Lamar Jackson and company. So I see a world where Lamar Jackson throws the ball 30 plus times again because they don't have that run game to lean on. So I'm excited for Rashad Bateman to see 6+ targets. What matters is that yards after the catch. We didn't really get to see that last week. I think he had like 4 or 5 catches, and I want to say his yardage was super low last week. So that's what I want to see. See if he stays that possession receiver, but maybe he catches the ball a little bit further downfield. So I'm okay starting him because I think the volume's going to be there, but I would not be surprised if his yardage is around that 60 to 70 yardage, and then you're kind of leaning on a touchdown at that point.
Nate, real quick, thoughts on Bateman this week against Cincinnati?
So, yeah, I'd start him. I was surprised how much volume he got in his first start. So that was fantastic to see. And it's only going to increase because he's talented and he seems to get the speed of the NFL already. And that's a beautiful thing. He may this week and next week, kind of cement himself as Lamar Jackson's number 1 target. I mean, he's doing everything they're asking him to do. And they drafted him for a reason. So, yeah, start him.
So basically what happens, we go through start sits. We get to a point in the show where we start getting listener questions, and that kind of overtakes half the show. And I really try to get the listener questions because those are the people watching our content. So Matt, thank you for subscribing. We have a Dynasty PPR trade question. I'm going to go to you first, Gary. You can get Michael Pittman, Tony, who's been on fire, Rondale Moore, or Woods, the old aged grizzled vet, Shenault, who just showed some life, and Mooney, who's been consistent the last couple weeks. What are your thoughts on this? This is a pretty tough trade right here.
So it's Pittman, Tony, and Rondale Moore for Woods and Shenault and Mooney.
Yep.
I like the okay, go ahead. Yeah.
Yeah, I think I'm going to go Woods, Shenault, and Mooney. It's tough. I want to see Tony a little bit more. I want to see it consistent. I did not like him coming out of college, but he's got the draft capital, so they're going to try to get him involved. And they've kind of seen what he can do. Pittman is another one of those guys. I'm not super fond of. I think the favorite player on that side for me is Rondale Moore. But if I look at, if I want to try to, I'm committing to trying to win now and maybe even next year. I think the Wood, Shenault, Mooney side is a little bit better. DJ Shark is gone this year. He's also a free agent, so most likely he doesn't return to Jacksonville next year. So that volume that you're seeing Shenault do now, it's going to stay there. It's not going to go anywhere. Even if they bring somebody in, he's still going to see a good chunk of volume. And Darnell Mooney, I think, sees an uptick because Allen Robinson, there's no chance in hell that dude stays in Chicago next year.
No way.
He's an unrestricted free agent. He's currently playing on franchise tag. So Mooney is going to skyrocket, I think, in value. So even if you don't plan on playing them next year and riding them, the value spike that you're going to see in Mooney in the offseason, you can use to move him for more than what you gave up for this year anyway. And I think Woods is very underrated, right? You saw him be kind of that squeaky wheel that gets the grease a few weeks ago, got peppered with targets, but he's getting touchdowns, right? So he's still going to be a serviceable wide receiver for you in that wide receiver 3 or 4 spot right now. And Shenault and Mooney, with the age and that uptick in production this season, coupled with off-season reductions in the team, I think you're going to see a spike in value and potential be able to sell them for more than you paid right now.
All right, Nate, bring us home, baby. What are we doing here?
I'm a Pittman stan. That said, I'm taking the Woods, Shenault, Mooney side because I'm more of a Shenault stan. Love Laviska Shenault. If you know me and follow me on Twitter, you know that he's my dude. Hashtag Visca for life. Dude, he's so talented, and they just need Urban Meyer to go away in Jacksonville, and that team is going to be so freaking good. And then Darnell Mooney is another guy that I love. I'm really big on him, and I think you hit the nail on the head saying Allen Robinson is probably gone after this season, and that makes Mooney the wide receiver 1 in Chicago, and he's so talented, and he and Justin Fields have a rapport. We're not seeing it right now, but it will come. I mean, Justin Fields is very early in his career. Just give it a season, and yeah. And Robert Woods is super underrated, but we're starting to see him break out now. So this is a great time to get him.
See, and then I'm over here on the other side. As always, I see the targets that Pittman's getting with Wentz. I know there's no T.Y. Hilton next year, more than likely. I love what I've seen from Tony. Like, this guy looks like a superstar when he's healthy. And then Rondale Moore's tied to Kyler. I don't know if he's a wide receiver 2, but we've seen flashes. But then you have Shenault with Urban. That's what turns me off. You have Mooney. We haven't really seen Justin Fields cook with Crisco yet, and Woods is getting older. So I might be a little bit more biased on the Pittman side. But that's why we have 4 guys here giving you their opinion. We just had 3 tell you Woods, Shenault, Mooney. Guys, we got one more. We got a redraft.
Well, what's Gary's kind of stance on it? I'm curious to hear.
Oh, yeah. So, I was definitely on the Wood, Shenault, Mooney side. Fields looks for Mooney all the time. now, and that's with Allen Robinson playing. So they already have a rapport. I think Woods is underrated, like you guys mentioned. He's going to get his looks. Cooper Kupp seems to be getting all the love right now, but Woods is a solid, contributor in there. And I'm a Chenault guy as well, and I think he just needs to get his opportunity. And like Nate was saying, within a different coaching regime, I thought this was gonna be his year, and I'm surprised that he hasn't done more than he has so far. But yeah, definitely on that side for me.
Well, Nate or Matt, it's because I'm Matt too. I got the Pittman side. Love those three. Hate giving up moving in LaVisca, but I has to get rid of Woods. I can't hate on it. I think you did okay either side of that trade.
Yeah. Oh, for
You're
sure.
Basically taking a gamble on youth over, the veteran experience. I mean, we don't know what we have
in a
redraft. Yeah. So here's one I never thought I'd be saying in redraft. Corey Davis, who's just getting peppered with targets, had some bad weeks just because, Zach Wilson isn't very good, but Fields hasn't played very good either. A-Rob, Corey Davis, this just feels like a wide receiver 3 right now. Nate, who are you going here in redraft?
Corey Davis.
Whoa! Golly.
I know.
It's sad that it's sad to hear,
crazy.
but that's
I
more.
don't
That's the truth.
I don't want to say it. I wanted to say that
wild.
when I wish Corey Davis had stayed in Tennessee or gone somewhere better than New York. He's talented, but he's been trash most of the season. But I like Corey Davis over A-Rob right now.
All right. Bourbon Dude, what are your thoughts here, man? This is crazy.
I'm going Allen Robinson. Look, Allen Robinson with Justin Fields, you've seen a consistent increase in targets over the last 3 weeks. You're seeing them start to let Justin Fields do a little bit more in that offense. They're starting to do a little bit more of what his skill set in that first read type of offense. And you're starting to see it click just a little bit. I'm not saying it looks good yet, but you're starting to see upticks. So I'm going Allen Robinson. I think the talent is better on the Allen Robinson side, just in a vacuum.
For sure.
I'm going to go with somebody that I think is going to overcome all of that adversity. And you see the target share starting to come back that we loved A-Rob for in previous years. You knew he was good for 8+ targets. You knew he was the alpha. You knew he was going to be the focal point. And I think that's going to start to come back. It's really more of a gut feel for me than anything. I don't have statistics or anything like that to back my point. I just look at 3 targets to 5 targets to 7 targets over the last 3 weeks, and I expect that trend to continue, not until he gets 30 targets a week or anything like that, which would be awesome. But, I think he ends up in that 8+ target range more regularly than he has been over this season, which has been, I believe, once in week 1.
My shares of Allen Robinson, hope you're right.
Yeah. So I love Allen Robinson. He's one of my guys. He was before the preseason. We did a guys we're all in on, and he was he's quarterback proof, all this stuff coming into the year. And then he's had single digit fantasy points for the last 4 weeks. And his week 1 and 2, he had 10 points. So it's like he's been struggling, and in his target, like you were saying, his target share is going up. But I'm going Corey Davis on this. He's getting the looks, and Zach Wilson. I mean, it's debatable if he's better than Justin Fields at this point, but if he's looking Corey Davis's way and I got to gamble, I guess my heart's been broken by Allen Robinson now. So maybe I'm just lashing out against him. I don't know.
That's fair.
Would you guys go get him in Dynasty?
Allen?
Yeah.
For sure.
A guy you would look
He's a free agent next year.
Now?
Yeah.
I would.
I don't think he's fallen off.
No, he's not done. He just needs to be on a different team. Chicago isn't it for him. He shouldn't have re-signed with them. I don't know why he did.
Well, they franchise tagged him. He kind of really have a choice, I guess.
I mean,
oops. Yeah, that's why.
Yeah, that's right.
Damn it.
Damn franchise tag. But why did he sign with them in the first place?
So
that's a great question, Nate.
I feel like you have to keep starting Corey Davis. Trade-wise, I don't really want to move A-Rob, hoping that, Fields finds the magic, but I get it now. A trade, I'd probably hold on to A-Rob, but starting this week, don't want A-Rob against the Bucks, don't want Corey Davis against the Patriots. It's just a shit show either way. So we got more questions. This is what I can't wait till Twitter gets back, because we won't even do a start shit show or start sit. How many times I got to say shit?
Either one.
All right. in Leezy. Please subscribe to our channel. Good day, fellas. Full point 12-team league. I need one running back, Latavius Murray, Ty Williams. Did we just see a Lev Bell touchdown last week?
Yes,
For Kenny Gainwell, who's disappeared. Let's tackle that first. Then we'll go to the two receivers because that's a little more juicy. Nate, are you starting Latavius Murray, Ty Williams, or Kenny Gainwell in a pinch?
It's not Tyson Williams for sure. Probably Latavius Murray. I love Kenny Gainwell. I just Philly's kind of a mess right now with Hurts, and then I just don't know, man. I don't trust anything in Philly right now outside of IDP, maybe.
I thought I saw today that Murray was hurt or he's nursing some kind of an injury.
Ooh.
So
he is, but he's still going to play.
Okay.
Gotcha.
I'd still play Murray. Probably Latavius Murray. I mean, he's seeing the volume that you want to get at least 5 or 6 points this week versus Tyson Williams, who there's no guarantee he sees any snap share, and Kenny Gainwell is relying on Jalen Hurts, which is a real problem right now. Probably Latavius Murray.
Gary, go ahead and hit it hard, and then Brad, I'm going to go take a leak.
All righty.
So Tyson he's been like a healthy scratch for some games. So he's for some reason on the bottom of the totem pole there, completely out on him. I monitor the injury report for Latavius Murray. If he's active, then roll the dice with him. But my thought when I saw this is I'm hoping for Gainwell to get some catches. If this doesn't say PPR, does it? It doesn't.
I would assume PPR.
I would assume it is.
Yeah.
We're assuming PPR.
Okay, yeah. So I'm leaning Gainwell. I mean, if he can get some cheap stuff out of the backfield and just some quick catches, I do like Latavius Murray, and I've always liked him, so I have him on a lot of my teams. So I'm hoping for him to be healthy and that I can plug him into some rosters that I have holes in.
So he does say it is indeed a PPR league.
Okay.
So I don't really have much to add. Tyson Williams is definitely not on the radar. Look, the issue for me is Latavius Murray only played about 38% of snaps last week, and they saw Lev Bell get in the end zone. You see Devonta Freeman get passing down work, and if Latavius Murray is nursing an injury, there's a world where he just doesn't see the field a lot. So I'm going with a guy that I think has some receiving upside in a game against the Las Vegas Raiders, and that's going to be Kenny Gainwell. I think there's a world where Las Vegas gets up in this game, and they rely on the passing game a little bit. And we've seen Kenny Gainwell with an 8-target game this year already. We've seen him with a couple 4-target games, and that alone is going to give you 5 points. Where Tyson Williams is going to
he's zero
for a very good chance. And Latavius Murray, even if he's active, I think the upside is 100% capped because he's only touching the field about 30%. And you see those high-value touches going to Devonta Freeman and Le'Veon Bell right now. So I'm going to go.
So if he's out, would you do Devonta Freeman? If you could pick him up off of the waiver wire right now, if you know that Murray's not playing and Tyson has been inactive, healthy scratch?
To me, it's tough because you don't know where
there's still Lev Bell
going to go. Is he going to go Devonta Freeman or is he going to go Lev Bell? And I don't know if I want to play that roulette game right now. I'd rather let the chips kind of fall and hopefully see a couple weeks to figure it out. If I was, gun to my head, figure it out. I've seen more of Devonta Freeman right now in those 2-minute drills and the end of the game, last minute drives in the half and things like that. So I'm probably going to go Devonta Freeman if I need to out of those two.
Brad says, pull the fucking trigger. Let's go. Let's talk receivers then. 2 receivers, guys. Your start-sit questions are more important than our start-sit advice. So we're going to hit you with our answers to your questions. We got a couple more. Then we're going to get to the Browns and the Broncos. 2 receivers, Robert Woods, Antonio Brown, Pittman, Hilton, Mooney, Bateman. Gary, I'm going to you first, baby. Give me 2 of these guys you're starting this week.
Man, I can see why you asked this question. You have embarrassment of riches here.
Antonio Brown or A.J. Brown?
Probably Antonio. Let's say Antonio versus the Bears.
That's who I would have guessed. So my gut tells me Woods and Antonio Brown. Brown he's Brady's boy. Even though they have all those other weapons down there, Brady always seems to look for him. And then Woods is another one. He's the 1B to Cooper Kupp, but he's in that. They're playing the Detroit Lions, and they're going to get up big. So I hope Robert Woods is part of that. So those are the two I'd go with.
All right, Nate. What are your thoughts here, baby?
So usually it would be Woods and Brown. However, Brown's dealing with an ankle injury, which concerns me a little because that affects his ability to cut and run routes. So I'm probably going Woods and Bateman this week.
Love it. Brad, what do you got for us?
Yeah, I want to start Woods and Brown. If Brown plays, I'm going to start him if he's active. If he ends up missing the week, then I'm going to go probably Woods, and I'm going to make it real annoying for you. Darnell Mooney would be my choice out of these right now.
I don't hate that.
So I would go Mooney if Brown wasn't playing. I didn't realize he was injured, so I missed that.
Yeah, mine's Woods no matter what, and then it's AB, then it's probably Mooney, and then the other three I just don't want to start. So I can dig it. I think you have Woods is a lock. So I still think I'd go AB. Pittman, I felt really good about that target share like 2 weeks ago. Then last week against Baltimore was a shit show. Let's go. We got one more question. Let's go, Andrew. Please subscribe to the channel. We appreciate you. Myles Gaskin, Darnell Mooney, or throbbing Robbie Anderson. This is gross. And I feel like we're all going to agree on this, but we could, say difference. Let's go to you first, Gary.
Wow. I know we were talking about Sam Darnold earlier, but I don't know. I guess I'll go Mooney. He has Justin Fields. He's his boy, and he's looking for him. And even though they didn't even pass a ton last week, he ended up with targets and he ended up with yards. And if I have to pick, I'm picking Mooney.
Nate, my boy, what do you got for us?
Mooney's ceiling is far higher than Anderson or Gaskin, so it's Mooney for me.
I love it. Brad, where we at, baby?
Look, Myles Gaskin is the best running back on that team. However, Brian Flores does not think he is the best running back.
I saw that one coming.
Yeah. So I can't trust Gaskin right now, right? You saw in the game last week in London against Jacksonville, you saw him coming off the field in high-value touches inside the 20 and ceding those touches to Salvan Ahmed, who was dropping passes, and ceding those touches to Malcolm Brown. So I'm not trusting Myles Gaskin here. So then it's very much a question of ceiling in this flex position, right? Because I don't think there's a good floor for either Mooney or Robbie Anderson here. As gross as this is, I may actually go Robbie because all it takes is that one. All it takes is that one bomb. That's it. That's all it takes. One catch for 60 yards and a touchdown.
God.
Matty.
The Mooney too.
Gross, right? So I think Mooney gives you the better floor. So this is one of those situations where I'm looking at the other team and I'm saying, okay, what do I need to win? Do I need a floor or do I need a ceiling? And for me, I think Robbie Anderson's ceiling's a little bit higher. So I'm going to play Robbie if I need that big play, 40-plus yard touchdown bonus kind of stuff. Whereas if I need to make sure I get 8 to 15 points, or obviously more because Darnell Mooney can do that also, then I'm going to plug in Darnell Mooney.
Yeah, I like Mooney here. I think he's the deep threat. I think against Tampa Bay, you're going to have to pass eventually. Like Fields is going to either throw a lot of picks or he's going to, hit on a deep bomb to Mooney. I think they're going to lock up A-Rob, and we'll see how it goes. But thank you for the question, Andrew. Lazy, thank you for your question. Let's talk Broncos Browns, guys. Sorry we couldn't get to all your start sits. I really appreciate that. We did go RB start sits, correct?
Yes.
Let's just give each other, 20 seconds. Gary, tell us your wide receiver start, just kind of real quick for him.
So I went with a kind of a sneaky play so it's not like anyone that's obvious, but he's outside of the top 36. But Amon-Ra St. Brown, they don't have anything receiver wise out there. And if you're in a PPR league, you got Hawkinson and you got him. And in this week, I think they're going to get behind to the Rams, and they're just going to have to keep throwing it. And so I'm hoping to get 6 or 7 catches and 50 yards from the guy, depending on who I have, so it's a bye week situation. There's a lot of stuff going on, but if I had to really dig deep and find out who do I plug in there and maybe, lottery ticket type thing, it would be him.
We kind of saw that last week, like the first half of the games, Amon-Ra really didn't do anything. And then that second half, he got all his points. So definitely against the Rams, I can see it happening. Brad, who is your wide receiver start?
Calvin fucking Ridley. This dude, all right, look, he's wide receiver 47. Don't panic. He's getting double-digit targets every game. Gary talked about his start of the week being Matt Ryan. This is the week, everybody. I'm marking it, putting it on my fucking calendar. He is a top 5 wide receiver this week against the Miami Dolphins, who have no Byron Jones and no Xavier Howard, no pass rush to speak of. This is it. This is the week that shows you why you drafted Calvin Ridley in the second round of startup drafts or the second round of redraft.
It's crazy seeing Ridley, seeing Allen Robinson, A.J. Brown, and then we just got done talking running backs. We got Henderson, Fournette, guys like that. RB1s basically on the year. It's fucking nuts. Gary, back to you. Let's pivot. Wide receiver sit.
So we touched on it earlier. It was Allen Robinson. I just, so I've already kind of mentioned it. He's like, he's not putting up numbers, 4 weeks in a row of single digit fantasy production. I benched him last week thinking, this is going to, this is one of these, this is going to be his week kind of guy. I benched him last week and thought I'm going to really pay for it. And I didn't. So yeah, that's who I picked.
That's understandable. Robinson hadn't done really shit on the year. Brad, who's your sit at the receiver position?
Yeah, for me, it's a guy that you've been disappointed with, especially after 2 weeks of explosion, and that's Tyler Lockett. He gave you 2 top 12 weeks right off the bat. The last 4 weeks have struggled. Last week was pretty bad. Geno Smith not looking good, even though they were in that game up until the very end, right? But they're playing the New Orleans Saints. That worries me a little bit, right? You've got a pretty solid secondary there. They have struggled this year. So, that opportunity is there for Lockett to get that one long ball. I'm just not going to trust it. And he's riding my bench until at least Russell Wilson comes back. And even then, I'm going to be thinking real hard about whether or not I can trust him in my lineup right now. I definitely don't want him as my wide receiver positions, right? My 1 or 2, even 3. If I got to start 3 wide receivers, I'm not excited about it. If he's in my flex, I'm okay because of that deep potential touchdown that he could give you, that one play. But I'm not trusting him this week at all.
I can dig it. Let's wrap it up with tight ends. This is just a gross-ass position. Like, you really can't pick the right starter sit. Doesn't matter if it's Darren Waller, George Kittle, whatever. Nate, is there a guy maybe you're targeting here with the matchup or just with the workload at tight end as a start?
Zac Ertz.
Ooh. Well, Arizona, baby.
Bold.
So,
like it.
The dude is just like, give me the ball. And he wasn't getting the ball in Philly. Now he's in Arizona, who is without Max Williams, who had 17 targets while he was healthy. Kyler Murray misses him. 16 catches on 17 targets for the tight end position in Arizona. They finally have a viable tight end one. Zac Ertz isn't done. The dude still has plenty to give. He had an injury-riddled season last season. That was a bummer. He wasn't on the field as much as we wanted to see. Now he's in Arizona, who's 6-0. They have a dynamic quarterback and a dynamic offense and a dynamic coach who has proven to be very good at what he does. There were a lot of people who thought that Kingsbury was going to ruin that team. He hasn't. He's made them very, very good. Having that tight end target for Kyler Murray is priceless. You fire up Zac Ertz. Just do it. Go out and get him. roster him, fire him up this week.
And
every week that he's healthy and on the field, and they're playing the Texans. So
yeah,
dude,
fast, baby.
Zach Ertz is almost I almost didn't talk about him. So that's kind of a no-brainer. But then I saw people today talking about don't start Zach Ertz this week. Oh no, start Zach Ertz.
No, that's a good mention. I'm glad you brought that up.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, did you see what Max Williams was doing with the Arizona Cardinals?
That's exactly 17 targets, 6 catches, 193 yards in 3 games? Come on, man. Get Zach Ertz in there. Dude's going to get some touchdowns.
All right, Brad. Your floor. You're going Evan Ingram. I can feel it.
Oh, no. Look, he's a smash start regardless of where you're at. We don't talk about Evan Ingram on here anymore. We don't need to.
No.
So, I'm going even grosser than that. I'm going CJ Uzomah. I'm going with it. Right. When you're streaming tight ends, you're just looking for that touchdown, right? Because streaming tight ends aren't giving you volume. They're not giving you 7 catches a game, right? You're looking for that guy who can give you a touchdown. And CJ Uzomah is a guy that we've seen give you a touchdown here, 2 touchdowns there. Right. So I'm looking, that's where I'm at right now. You're going up against Baltimore, who doesn't have a good pass defense against the tight end. They've given up, I believe they're in the bottom 10, maybe even further than that. Don't quote me on that. I may need to look that up. I'll do it and then correct myself if I need to, as somebody else is talking. But I do know they're bottom, near the bottom of the league in tight end defense. So I'm going with a guy that I think might give me that touchdown because nobody else I really care about.
All right. We're going to expedite tight end sits to answer one more trade question. Let's go. Do you want – thank you, Matt, taking care of us tonight. Sutton, wide receiver 20 on the year in a late 2022 second, or what could be in Kadarius Toney and a mid to late first in 2023, which is granted a long time from now. So, Nate, thoughts on this, man? Because Sutton, we've seen what he's done without Judy in the lineup in this late second, which could be just nothing.
Right.
Or do you want to take the chance on Toney and take the chance that you get a 2023 early to mid first?
I'm going Sutton side. There's too much unknown with that 2023 pick, and there's too much unknown with Toney because I didn't love him coming into this season. Not from a talent perspective, but I think there's some, and hopefully he corrects him like Von Miller did. But I think there are some character issues that I'm concerned about with him where I don't know that he's a guy who's going to be great for the locker room. And maybe I'm wrong, but I'm taking the Sutton side on this.
Brad?
So as much as it grosses me out, I'm probably taking the Toney side. I'm a little reverse here, and mainly because I look at the situation in Denver as kind of volatile. Right, so you've got that quarterback situation with Teddy Bridgewater on only a 2-year contract. And you got Drew Lock in the wings. Obviously, I don't think Drew Lock has taken that job, and they got to figure that out. But there's no guarantee that Teddy Bridgewater is their quarterback next year. So that's number one. Number two, Cortland Sutton's coming up on a contract. So his situation in general could turn into a Kenny Golladay type situation where he goes to a team to get paid, and they're not going to compete. So now I worry a little bit about that. Whereas Toney, I think you're looking at a similar situation, right? Daniel Jones, that's not the go-to, not really the thing. And that 22 late second, from what I'm looking at right now, that's basically worthless out of this 22 class, right? That late second, third round, there's nobody that I want in that range. Whereas the 23 class looks like it's going to be a fairly solid class. And if I'm getting a mid first, a lot of things can happen before 2023. A lot of injuries can happen. That what you project to be mid to late first could turn into an earlier first. So I'm going with that, especially if you say, I see a note in here that says he's 2 years out minimum. I'm definitely taking that 23 first at that point because Sutton in a couple years, you don't know what's going on with that point. So I'm going to take that first over the top of it right now.
I'll tell you what's going on with Sutton in 2 years. He's won 2 Super Bowls with Aaron Rodgers as the quarterback.
And he signs
All-Pro, 1,000 yards.
Broncos.
All right, so my play on this is the Sutton in the second, and I've always preached to to stack those first round picks. You're going to build your team faster, especially if he's 2 years away. But Sutton's still young, and we don't know who's going to be playing quarterback with the Broncos. Like what Nate just said, I mean, maybe it's Aaron Rodgers, maybe who knows who it is. But he's young enough to still keep making a difference in that late second. You never know what happens in the second. I've gotten some gems out of the late second where Rondale Moore was the end of a second round pick in this last draft. So, I mean, you could get a Rondale Moore and then you get to keep Sutton. And the first round pick, who knows what that's going to be either, but that's just, if I had to pick, it's close enough to have a great question, but I would just go Sutton in the second.
Yeah, and I'm a Tony fan, and I'm a fan of first. So we're kind of split down the middle. I don't think there's a wrong answer with this question. Bravo to Matt for getting 8 first-rounders in a couple of years. Eric Burkholder would love to see that.
So
he'd be proud.
Gary, our Hard Hogs Dynasty IDP League.
Yeah.
Do you remember? So we have a guy in this league, Brad Bolt. Shout out Brad Bolt. If you don't know Brad Bolt, Brad is the man.
Love Brad.
He traded for the entire 19th round of that startup draft. He had every pick in that 19th round. He bamboozled all of us in that league.
Can I ask a question from you guys? Because I know I'm in like 30 leagues, and that's probably about 25 too many. Are you guys kind of in the same boat where, like, between waivers, between trades, you're in way too many fucking leagues? Anybody else have that same thought?
Yes.
I did when the season started, and then Jen put together a spreadsheet to make sure that we set all of our lineups every week. And like with Dynasty, there's no waivers.
Not really.
We already have everybody. We had a 32 round draft. I better not have to go to waivers for my team. Like, come on. And with redraft, I only have 5 redraft leagues, so that's been pretty not horrible to manage. I haven't minded it. I'm in 19 that aren't 21 that aren't best ball.
Now, we're getting hit hard with these questions, guys.
Yeah, that's awesome though.
Yeah, I keep coming.
For Twitter not working, this is I love seeing our YouTube grow. Tua, Wentz, Bridgewater, quarterback here. We've seen Wentz kind of off and on. Bridgewater had a pretty good game with 3 touchdowns, but 3 picks. Browns defense hasn't played well the last couple weeks. And then you have Tua here going, is it Atlanta? Is that correct?
Yes.
What are you doing here, Nate? He looks like he's a Tua fan. He's got the is Tua getting traded? We've heard that Washington mumbo jumbo today.
Tua's not getting traded. Just forget about that. But I still don't like him. Here against the 49ers, I'm taking Wentz. Wentz has been oddly efficient. He's not making mistakes. He's looked really good. I mean, the last few weeks, I've been impressed with what I've seen out of Wentz. We don't know if T.Y. Hilton's going to be healthy this week with that neck injury. Like, he's still tweaked it, but he's got Mo Alley Cox, who he loves. They're going to need to lean on Jonathan Taylor a little bit more. Like, come on. But I love Wentz over Tua and Bridgewater, especially because Bridgewater has been limited in practice this week, so we don't even know if he's going to play.
He's got the injured foot, so It could be just a shit show Thursday night. Gary, Tua time. Is it Tua Tagovailoa?
It is Tua time for me. Bridgewater's out for me because he's injured and he's efficient, but there's not a great ceiling for him in my opinion. And I do love Wentz. I have him on a lot of teams, but Tua last week, he kind of came back from that injury. He had like 250 some yards, a couple touchdowns, and he had another probably 20 some yards on the ground. First game back, he's got a rapport with Jalen Waddle. Atlanta's not the best. They're middle of the road as far as pass defense. I'm rolling the dice with Tua. Plus, does Wentz still have those injured ankles? I don't even know if that's not a thing anymore.
It's been like 3 weeks. I'm sure they're fine now.
If I'm correct, Tua's like 4 touchdowns, 2 picks. So it's when he's played. So it's not terrible. Brad, what are your thoughts here?
Yeah,
Walk us through it.
Wentz was the bottom of the list. So now I'm looking at Tua and Bridgewater. And like Gary said, Tua, I think Tua, I'm pretty sure Tua was over 300 yards passing last week, had a couple touchdowns. He did throw an interception, but the guy threw the ball like a ton, like maybe right at 50, somewhere in around there. He had a ton of attempts last week. Maybe that happens again. Maybe it doesn't. if Bridgewater plays, look, the Cleveland Browns have gotten torched the last 2 weeks, which is surprising to me because they're healthy now. So against the Chargers, they were not healthy. Against
Arizona.
Thank you. Against Arizona last week, they were healthy and they played like crap. So I am not impressed with what that secondary is doing right now. I think I'm going to go Teddy Bridgewater here with Cortland Sutton and Noah Fant. Their linebackers aren't great at covering the tight end, and especially one as athletic as Noah Fant. I think Bridgewater could have a pretty solid game. I think Cleveland's rush defense is going to help push that a little bit also and slow Melvin Gordon and Javonta Williams down just enough to where Teddy's going to have to throw the ball a little bit more than we may, want him to. So I think I'm leaning. Yeah, man, that's great. I'm going Teddy. Yeah, I'm not going to change midstream.
So who's our tiebreaker, Matty?
Dude, I got to go Teddy here. I think he's shown enough. I think the Browns are – this happened to me with Carr last week. I thought he was a sit. But I think Bridgewater's the guy here. I don't think the upsides with Tua or Wentz. I think Bridgewater – I think the Browns can stop the run. It's going to be a split, shit show. But I could see Bridgewater having a good game. Let's keep it going, though, because the questions never stop here on Fantasy Affair. Aquavision, that double vision. If you don't mind subscribing to the channel, it would be greatly appreciated. Now let's let the beat drop. Rico Beats, let the beat drop. Ramandrey against the Jets. We've already heard Nate preach this. We've also got AJ Green, who's kind of been on again, off again. And you just added Zac Ertz to the mold. Let's go to you, Gary. What are your thoughts? Who are you going here, baby?
There's so many. AJ Green had that big week, but there's just so many other targets out there. There's so many other. I'm going with kind of building on what Nate said earlier in the show is that Ramandrey he's got some opportunity for some passing work, and I do like the Damien as well, but I don't know if I had to pick between the two, that's what I would do.
Brad?
I'm going AJ Green. Look, this guy's got 4 double-digit fantasy points in PPR leagues over the last 5 weeks. He's got 3 touchdowns over the last 5 weeks. He looks to be kind of this red zone guy for Kyler. I don't want to say he looks like himself, but he looks pretty damn solid for a 32-year-old wide receiver who, has been injured the last couple years. So I'm going AJ Green. I think that touchdown upside is there. And I think he's going to see enough targets to at least not make you regret putting him in your lineup, where I could see a world where, we're hoping Ramandrey gets those targets. He only had 3 last week. If he doesn't get those, he's completely irrelevant. So I'm going with the guy that I think I can trust a little bit more in AJ Green. So
ceiling play.
Yeah, I don't like either one of these. Obviously, I'm a Stevenson fan in Dynasty. I think this guy will be the bell cow eventually. But AJ Green kind of disappears. I was high on, Rondell Moore 1 week. So I'll probably go Stevenson, hoping Damien Harris gets banged up. Thank you, Rico Beats. Please subscribe. We got one more. Burrow versus the Ravens. Or Matt Ryan versus Dolphins, right? Yeah.
Yep, Dolphins.
Let's go you, Brad.
I can't not play Joe Burrow.
Sounds fair.
Even though it would not surprise me if Matt Ryan is ahead of him this week because of the Joe Burrow.
Gary?
Oh, that's tough.
So yeah, that is a tough question, especially since I had Matt Ryan as my QB start. But I would do the same thing. I would, if I have Joe Burrow, I'm starting him. The Ravens they have a good defense and all, but he's been hot, and him and Jamar Chase have synced up, and you can get some long touchdowns, and he's got Burrow if I have him.
QB 13 on the year, so it's not like he's been bad compared to QB 23 by Matt Ryan. Nate, send us home. Who are you going here?
It's no contest. It's Joe Burrow. The Jamar Chase Joe Burrow connection is electric. It's Joe Burrow.
All right, let's real quick. I'm going to do this kind of rapid fire so we can wrap up this show. I know we went a little later than usual. We have a 42-point total from Vegas on the over-under. We've got the Broncos at 3-3, the Browns at 3-3. Both these teams coming off of a loss. Browns lost to Arizona 37-14. Broncos 34-24 to the Raiders, which I did not see coming. I'm going to kind of give you guys – I'm going to talk the player. I'm going to talk where he's ranked around, and then you give me a start or sit. Teddy B, last week we saw the 3 interceptions. The injured foot, top 15, top 16 QB, start, sit. And if he's a QB1 this week, say it. Regardless of that, just say sit or start. Let's go to you first, Brad. Teddy B, QB2, top 15, 16, start, sit.
Start. I think he's top 15.
Gary, start, sit on your Broncos QB with the injured ankle versus the Browns defense that's been pathetic the last 2 weeks.
And the 4 turnovers or so last week. If I have like Josh Allen or Dak Prescott or Justin Herbert, maybe I might have to start him. But if I have another alternative, I don't think he's top 15.
All right.
Although I could see a world where he is, but that's just kind of what my gut was coming into this.
Mark, hang on to us. Mark Yosko has a QB start sit question. If you just be patient with us, we'll get to us after this Broncos Browns rapid fire. Nate, Teddy B, we've seen what we've seen. 3 touchdowns, 3 interceptions. He's cooking with Crisco, with Sutton, Patrick Fant, and he's got the Browns. Could he be top 16? And are you sitting him as a QB2 streamer?
So it's unlikely he's top 16. It's unlikely. I don't think he's going to finish the game. I think we see Drew Lock at some point in the second half. So I'm sitting him.
Okay. I can respect that. I don't know what we have with the Broncos. I'll be honest. I feel like
neither do Broncos fans. We're sitting here like, what is this team?
John Elway doesn't even know what he has with the Broncos.
Yeah, I don't know if I'm starting Teddy B this week. I think the Browns will come to play this week. I just feel it being a home game, everything in between. I think Keenum could surprise us. So I might sit Teddy B as far as top 16 QB. Let's pivot to the quarterback in Case Keenum. This is a streamer. I'm not saying he's top 15, but do you think he can finish top 24, QB2 range in this matchup? Gary, are you starting him as like a QB 18 to 24, or is this guy a sit?
I had him on my sit earlier, so I can't go with that. I mean,
because you're not expecting QB1 upside. I
for sure
damn near think you're not expecting a high end QB2. So you're just streaming him. You're hoping for 15 points, I'd say.
Well, if I was in a 2 QB league and we had some bye week stuff, I mean, in desperation, I put him in, but I don't know. I just don't see it happening this week. The Broncos defense is just tough.
Okay. Nate.
Well, Denver's defense has been pretty good. Their secondary has been terrible, which makes no sense because everyone's healthy. That 18 to 24 range, I'd start him if that's what you're expecting out of him. That's your floor. Yeah, I take that.
Well, I don't think anybody's expecting top 15 upside with Keenum.
Right.
So do you start him over a flex position, over a receiver, the running back? Brad, what are your thoughts? Are you starting Keenum over a flex player?
I mean, yeah, I am, but top 24 is also basically almost 100% happening because there's 6 teams on bye this week.
That's true.
There's
okay, good point.
Quarterbacks playing. So, I mean, yeah, there's a pretty good chance he's top 24. So I'll start that all day long. And yeah, I mean, I'm starting him in that last flex position unless I'm just absolutely loaded and have
Kelsey, Waller, and Kittle all on his.
Yeah, exactly. But,
over 15 points, Brad, from Case Keenum tomorrow.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, I'd do that.
Let's pivot to running backs because Javonta, Melvin Gordon, we've seen the upside, but it's a split backfield. RB35 and Javonta Williams on the season. He's shown flashes, only 2 games over 10 points. Melvin Gordon, anywhere from the 6 to 11 point range the last 3. He is RB18 on the year. Broncos running backs. Are you starting either one of these guys, Brad?
I love Javonta Williams. He's my dude. But I don't think I'm going to start either one of them. The concern for me is just the volume. I think Javonta Williams is the better back. I think by the end of this season, he's probably going to be in that 70-30 type of workload because they're going to start to move to him a little bit. But right now, that's just not what's happening. So I don't know that I want to trust either one of them in my lineup if I can get away with it. If I need to start one, you got to start Melvin Gordon right now because he's getting those, those high value touches. So out of the two, if I need one, I'm going Melvin Gordon.
Gary, sit these guys. And is it Melvin Gordon over Javonta?
Yeah, that pains me to say because Javonta is my guy too. He's probably my favorite guy in the NFL right now. But he's just, and I just keep waiting. He's got to break out. It's like he jumped over that guy this last weekend, and I'm like, okay, there we go. We're gonna build on this. And then they tackle him, and there's the one guy that grabs his ankle before you think you could see him breaking it for 50 yards. So yeah, I was biting my tongue the whole time. So I love the guy. Melvin Gordon right now does seem like he's the one that's getting a little bit more. They're pretty much down the middle. I don't know. I would start them, either one of them as a flex, depending on what I had, especially this week with all the injuries and the people out. I think you may not even have a choice at this point. If you have someone they're healthy, you can plug them into your lineup. You may have to do that.
Nate.
So I actually wrote about this week with the lateral was the running back situation in Denver. And it is it's a dead split. Carries, targets, receptions, yards, touchdowns. There's very little variance between these two guys. And for me, especially this week against Cleveland, in a week where I think Denver is just going to kind of shit the bed, I wouldn't start either one. If I had to pick one, it's Melvin Gordon over Javonta because, like Brad said, he's getting the more high value opportunities. But I'd prefer to not start either.
Same. I don't want any part of this after they let me down against Oakland. I'm not touching either one of these. I hate you. Now let's talk the Browns running backs because we saw Ernest Johnson one game in 2020, 95 yards on 13 carries. We've seen the Browns have the top-ranked rush offense, 168 yards a game. You've got to start Ernest Johnson if you picked him up off waivers and expect high-end RB2 production, wouldn't you say, Brad?
I want to say that because I'm a Browns fan.
But you're a Felton guy, I can tell. You have Felton in your eyes.
168 yards a game on the ground, though. Top ranked.
Yeah, and even last week when their two tackles were out, right, Kareem Hunt still had damn near 5 yards a carry, right? So I don't think those two tackles are hurting the run game as much because they do a lot of the work with their guards and their interior, and they're still healthy. So I don't want to put either one of these guys in my lineup, right? Cleveland they disappointed big time last week, and I want them to bounce back. I just don't trust it. You're looking at a third string running back coming into a situation where they're playing a team that has a good front seven, as I mentioned earlier, and I just don't know that I want to put them in that situation. They've got a backup quarterback. Yes, maybe they try to lean on that run early on, but if they do that too much, their defense is porous and they're going to go down early and they're going to have to move away from it. And if they move away from it, like I mentioned earlier, I think it's Demetric Felton, not Ernest Johnson. So I'm staying away from him if I can.
Ernest Johnson, Gary. Like I said, is this a guy you're streaming this week, or are you taking a Ramandrey Stevenson guy over Ernest Johnson, or do you take the gamble and just hope he hits 100 yards?
Yeah, I'm with Brad. I'm keeping him out of my lineup unless I'm desperate. If I have one where I had Chubb and Hunt and I was playing them as together and they're both out, and if it wasn't for Johnson, I would have to play nobody. So I have him in there in that case. But if you're saying if there's a St. Brown kind of a situation, I might throw him in there for that. You just don't know.
Right. Well, and that's what's fun about this. People see the Browns' top-ranked rush offense, and you just automatically think it's the running back position. You can put anybody in at the running back spot and get production. Nate, are you willing to start Ernest Johnson Thursday night?
No.
Right.
I have 0 shares of him. I understand that if you do have shares of him, you got your shares of Ernest Johnson this week, unless you're in a super deep dynasty league. So you're probably starting him if you spent fab or a high waiver priority on him, and that's fine. I understand it. This is the worst bye week in the history of fantasy football, and it is crushing all of our souls, and we're all doing things we don't want to do. I have to start Trey Lance at quarterback in a super flex dynasty league. And my super flex slot isn't Trey Lance. He's my quarterback. I get it. Desperate times, desperate measures. This shit's getting a little bit ugly. But if I have a choice to start literally almost anyone else, I'm starting them. Demetric Felton, Michael Carter's on bye, but I might actually plug him in instead of Ernest Johnson.
Just in case, right?
I think Carter was.
Oh no, Carter is
Carter's
back. Carter's back. I would start Michael Carter over Ernest Johnson. I would start Ty Johnson, 2 New York Jets running backs. I mean,
yeah, I might draw the line there.
Wow.
I don't know that I would, man. I just don't. Denver has, like you said, Brad, Denver has a solid front 7, but their secondary is pretty porous. Cleveland, if they want to win this game, is going to need to throw the ball. Case Keenum can throw the ball.
Yep.
He's not like, we're not talking about Davis Mills here.
Yep.
So, and that's all I have to say.
All right, we got Felton, UCLA product, played slot receiver, can catch the pass. A lot of intrigue with this player. No rushes on the year, though. He's strictly a receiving back. Do we see, first off, does this guy have any running back appeal as like a runner? Or is he going to be strictly used in the passing game, Brad?
Who?
Felton.
Oh, yeah. I think his workload will come from the passing game. And that's what you've seen thus far up to this point. He's kind of that gadget player. If he gets a carry, it's because it's a jet sweep kind of thing, right? I don't think you're going to see a lot of him lining up in the backfield necessarily. And I wouldn't be surprised if he gets hurt. I mean, this guy, now granted, his spin move is electric. He's done it every game. And one of these times, Von Miller's going to see that. He's like, you're not going to use that cheap-ass spin move on me. I'm just going to destroy you. So I worry about it because that's like his go-to. And you put yourself in a very susceptible position when you do that, especially when you do it on damn near every time that you touch the ball. So, but yeah, he is definitely the pass-catching back out of these two, I believe.
All right, Nate.
Sorry, I went on a tangent about it.
Oh, you're good. Any flex appeal with
it was
Felton?
interesting.
I did. So back to Mageddon. Yeah, I'd flex him. I don't have a whole lot of other options if you're getting to the point where you're flexing Demetric Felton. So if you're looking at your lineup, you're like, I'm probably going to have to flex Demetric Felton. It's because you don't have another choice.
Right. Gary, any Felton flexing?
I mean, exactly what Nate said. It's like, if I had to, then I would do it, but I wouldn't feel good about doing it. And you just hope he gets some, like we said with Brown, he's like, just take like 3 or 4 catches, 5 catches maybe, and maybe get yourself 8 points out of that position instead of a 0.
Yep. We got, I think this is pretty easy on both sides. Let's hit receivers. Sutton, wide receiver 20 on the season. Last 2 games, 15 catches, 214 yards, 2 touchdowns, playing like a wide receiver 1 at times, wide receiver 2. This guy's a must start, right, Brad?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I'd like to say no because I really do like our secondary between Denzel Ward and Greg Newsome and Greedy Williams, Grant Delpit and Ronnie Harrison as safeties. I think there's going to be situations where he's not against Denzel Ward, and that's going to be good for him, right? Because Greedy Williams and Greg Newsome are not going to be able to compete with him on those jump balls, those contested catches, which is where he wins constantly. If he's lined up against Denzel Ward, I think there's more of a chance he loses some of those because Denzel Ward is a very good man cover corner. But he'll be moved around enough to where he's going to be fine. I don't think there's any world where you do not have him in your starting lineup.
Gary?
Yeah, same. If I have Sutton on my team and he's healthy, I'm starting him. I don't know. I'm not Don't worry about who he's playing against, who's covering him. I'm starting him.
Nate?
The same as Gary. You're starting Cortland Sutton if you have him.
Wide receiver 32 on the year, only one game under 12 points. Tim Patrick, man. Solid wide receiver 3, solid flex, maybe a wide receiver 2 at times. Brad, wide receiver 3 territory, kind of all year. He's kind of a locked and loaded start, right?
Yeah, I think that's fair. He's, you heard me talk about Greedy Williams earlier, and that's who he's going to be seeing quite a bit of. And Tim Patrick's a big dude. He's not a small receiver by any shape of the imagination. So I think he's going to be able to kind of body Greedy a little bit. So I think he's definitely a guy that you could trust in a flex position.
Gary.
Yeah, 100%. 100% on Patrick. I love the guy. They drafted all those other people. They got hurt. Every time someone gets hurt, he just steps up and he delivers and he helps the team and he helps fantasy teams. So yeah, I'm into him as a wide receiver 3 flex.
Nate.
Yep, I'm in. I love Tim Patrick. So yeah, I'm in.
All right, let's talk wide receivers for the Browns. Let's go with Donovan. I'm not even going to give OBJ the credit to be talked about first. Donovan Peoples-Jones. This guy has been on fire. Week 5, 5 for 70. Week 6, 4 for 101 and 2 touchdowns. Are we starting Donovan Peoples-Jones? Gary.
I am not starting him. I'm just staying away from the Browns this week. Receiver wise anyway. Well, actually probably across the board, but definitely at receiver.
Nate. Donovan Peoples-Jones.
I don't have a choice. So yes.
Oh, man.
Oh,
man.
Injuries, dude.
Well, this was the darling of preseason. Like, all you heard was camp reports about how good this guy was.
He is good.
He's very
good. I don't love
Mm-hmm.
starting him this week with Case Keenum at quarterback, but I like long-term, like he's a dynasty buy for me right now. And buy whatever his value is, I'm okay with that. But yeah, I have to start him. So most people who have him probably have to start him.
Brad, wide receiver 3 flex range. Are you taking Peoples-Jones here?
Zero fucking chance that he's going to be a wide receiver 3. Jarvis Landry is going to be back. Odell Beckham is back. Case Keenum's going to feed the guys that are talented. I just, you saw him do that with Stephon Diggs and Adam Thielen in his season in Minnesota. And I think you're going to see a lot of the same. I think he's going to focus on those 2 primary targets, and that's where he's going to go. I don't trust Donovan Peoples-Jones right now. I agree he's a dynasty buy, and you should have bought him before the season because he was free, and now you have to pay for him. That 101 yards is very deceptive. It was a 50-plus yard bomb at the end of the half. Was and I get it counts. It's fantasy points.
Yeah.
I totally get it. But outside of that, it's not a week that you want, right? So it's a Hail Mary at the end of the half. I'm not going to count on that for fantasy production, especially when you got a guy like Jarvis Landry coming back.
All right, let's go Odell here. Grade 3 shoulder sprain. I saw a crazy stat that he's, hasn't had a 100-yard game in over 2 years.
Yep.
Wide receiver 29 finish last week was the best of the season. OBJ, man. Let's go to you first, Nate. Are you firing this guy up or is it a wait and see? Because we know he's got talent somewhere hidden in there. It just hasn't shown.
So the talent isn't the issue for me with OBJ because I know it's there. It's the give me the damn ball attitude that I don't care for. And he seems to get kind of pouty when he doesn't get as many targets as he thinks he should be getting. And then he shuts down. And we've seen that now for a year and a half in Cleveland when he's healthy. I'm not starting him. I keep waiting for him. He's been burning me for 2 seasons. Like I'm kind of over it. I'm kind of over it at this point.
We all get burned by OBJ.
The talent is there.
Yeah.
That's not the issue. The talent is there. The attitude is not. And attitude over talent in a locker room. You don't like the guy because he's getting pissed off when you don't throw it to him. Maybe he's not always as open as he thinks he is. I'm just not, I can't with his attitude. I think it's a detraction to the team. And I don't think he's going to get the love that he thinks he deserves because he can't shut his mouth about it.
Gary, wide receiver 2 week. OBJ starts it.
No, I'm sitting him. I mean, I maybe with Baker, and even then, who knows? But with Case Keenum and the pass rush that's going to be coming at them with the linemen that are injured, I'm not liking it.
Brad, Brown's truther. OBJ fan. What are you doing here?
Look, I got to give the guy some love, man. All right. And regardless of what the 2 Denver Broncos fans were going to say, I was going to start him anyway. One, you got a ton of guys on bye, right? So are there really better options with upside that you could get from an Odell versus a guy like Amon-Ra, right? I don't care if Amon-Ra gives me 3 catches for 30 yards. That's only 6 points. I'm going to go with Odell, who can give me an absolute blow-up game like he did with Dallas last year, right, where he scored like 40 fantasy points.
That is fair.
Something like that, right?
Yep.
So that's where I'm at with Odell. Now, I do want to address a little bit. So I don't see the same Odell that you see from seasons past where he has that attitude problem, throwing over the field goal net and headbutting shit and all that. I see a guy who's on the field, a willing run blocker. This dude is out blocking corners. He's blocking safeties, and he's doing it effectively. This dude is bought in to what Kevin Stefanski and the Cleveland Browns are doing. That, coupled with the fact that when you go back and watch, Odell Beckham is open constantly. And when I say constantly, I mean all the time. And the targets that he is getting he's had 3 that could have been 50-yard bombs had Baker Mayfield just not airmailed the ball. 3.
Okay.
That's
fair
3
enough.
Deep 50+ yard touchdowns that he could have through 6 weeks. Had Baker hit him on 2 of those, we'd have totally different tunes about Odell Beckham. Now, we still need Case Keenum to be able to do that as well, right? So do I think Case can do that? I'm not sure, but I'm willing to put him in my lineup, especially on a bipocalypse that is the new name for this week.
I like that.
You can trust.
All right. Well, let me pivot to one more receiver question. I don't want you to explain yourself. I just want you to give me the answer. OBJ or Landry? Brad.
Fuck. Landry.
Gary.
Landry.
Nate.
Landry.
All right, Landry here. Let's get to tight ends. Hooper and Njoku, they just take turns being productive. Just your tight end streamers that suck. Any guys? Njoku, Hooper, who are you going for upside, Gary? What's your thoughts here?
I'm going Njoku. He had that big week a couple weeks ago, and I've been a fan of his since I drafted him in the first round of my rookie drafts and all that. So I kind of have a special, place in my heart for Njoku. I want to see him succeed.
All right, Njoku or Hooper here, Nate?
Njoku. I think the higher ceiling than Hooper.
Brad?
Yeah. So I get the Njoku because of the ceiling, but he's also given you 2 weeks that are completely gooses. So I think I'm going to go Hooper because he's a guy who I know is going to get 3 catches for 30 yards.
Gross.
He's going to give me 5 or 6 points in a tight end premium. He's going to give me 7.5 or 8. It doesn't feel good, and I get the upside of Njoku, but I'm probably going to play Hooper. It's gross either way.
Everybody's tight end 7 on the year. 25 versus Las Vegas. He's been kind of boomer bust this year, but you got to start him at tight end 7. You really probably don't have a better option. Correct, Brad?
Yeah, and I think he's a smash play this week. Smash play. He was tight end 1, I believe, last week. I could see a very similar situation where he's tight end 1 again this week.
All right. Nate.
Same.
Gary.
Yeah, Fant all the way.
Yep, fan all the way. All right, guys. I think that's pretty much it. Fantasy-wise, you could start one of these defenses, but you probably wouldn't feel too great about it. With the turnovers, with the injuries, if Locke does play for some reason, you don't know what you're getting. We got 2 more questions, and we'll get out of here. We've got Jalen Hurst against Las Vegas. We've seen him have that kind of safe rushing floor, 27, 21, 31. I mean, dude, he's been on fire for – not playing great pro football. He's got Vegas. You've got Rodgers going up against Washington. Kind of same situation. Is there a wrong or right answer here, Nate?
I'm probably going to go Hurts over Rodgers in this situation for the rushing upside.
Hurts is our QB4 on the year. Pretty crazy.
Yep.
Gary?
Yeah, when I first looked at this, I thought Rodgers, but with all that rushing upside and what he's done thus far in the year, you got to keep rolling the dice with him.
All right, Brad.
Vacuum. I'm going Rodgers, but I've got to go Hurts, and it's for a little bit different reason. I'm fairly certain that Aaron Rodgers has lost an offensive lineman this week.
David Bakhtiari, right?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure Bakhtiari is out for the season, possibly. I may be misquoting that, but I'm fairly certain he's down and out this week, which concerns me a lot when you're talking about a left tackle and a guy named Chase Young on the other side. So I'm going to go Jalen Hurts here as well.
Hurts as well. Mark, thank you for asking the question. Please subscribe to the YouTube channel. JT moving. You got your body moving. What is that, Megan Trainer or something? This morning I traded Schultz and Mike Davis for Joe Mixon, and the person I traded dropped a Cleveland tight end for the trade to go through, but it won't process until Tuesday. Brad, any reason why this trade's probably not – there's what, a couple-day process period more than likely?
Yeah, it sounds like there might be like a review period. So I know Sleeper in particular has the option for there to be a waiting period or a review period before a trade goes through. So that's where almost all of my leagues are. I haven't played MFL in a very long time, so I don't know if that setting is on there, but most likely that's what this kind of sounds like right now. So talk to your commissioner and tell him to hurry up and push the trade through.
Yeah. Hit him on his beeper, call him from a payphone, do whatever you got to do to get Mixon in your lineup. Guys, we're done. Before we finish up, Browns, Broncos, who's winning? Brad?
Browns.
This is,
and
hell yeah.
Quick,
I like your
Nate,
swag.
Nate dropped that little nugget in there. It does look like David Bakhtiari was at practice. So
yeah,
he
played.
Good call on
Yep.
that, Nate. Yeah.
Nate, speaking of that, Broncos going to Cleveland Thursday night.
Browns. It's going to be the Browns. So just a little side note, Brad. My wife's entire family is from Ohio. We just spent like a weekend in Marietta, Ohio.
Okay.
Flew into Columbus. I'm a de facto Browns fan, so like it sucks that the Broncos are going to lose, but at least it's the Browns.
Yeah, I like it.
All right, Gary.
I'm going Broncos, Nate. I don't care what either one of you guys say. But I think it's going to – honestly, though, I think it's going to be a close game, and it really could go either way. So I just picked the Broncos because I'm a Homer fan. I mean, you could see it happening either way. I don't think it's going to be a blowout one way or the other, though.
But you see the Browns, just with this starting lineup, Keenum, Ernest Johnson. Like, this is setting the table.
Donovan Peoples. Oh, no, you said that.
Could be really gross.
Okay.
Like, I could see Cleveland booing their home team on Thursday night. I want to say the Browns are going to win because it's a home game, but I could see the Broncos winning this one easy. Real quick, Terry and Cooks, Swift and Pittman. Sounds like you're getting two quality starters for a RB1-ish because he's off and on. Brad, what's your thoughts here?
I'm smashing Swift and Pittman.
All right.
Same.
Same for Nate. No, Nate, fucking say it, baby.
Same.
Jump out there, Nate. Yeah, I think you have to take the running back in most of these. If it's close like this, the running back is we want to go to that side.
Yeah,
That's
I was way too low on Swift this year. I definitely regret that. I'm taking Swift here no matter what and smash starting him every week. Psych, thank you for the question. Make sure you subscribe. Lazy, thanks for tuning in. I see you got that big bottle of wine, a couple wine coolers for my boy Brad. Enjoying the night. Let's get the fuck out of here. Gary, where can they find you on social media, on TikTok, or whatever you're doing these days? I'm
just at Gary's Ammo 1 on Twitter. I'm pretty much not anywhere else. I'm there. Not as much as I used to be, but that's where to find me. Dude, you're a great guy. I remember I believe we did Aaron Rodgers when we did a quick hitters. We did. So it's just funny Nate name dropped Aaron Rodgers to the Broncos. But Gary, dude,
real quick, appreciate you, man. Appreciate your personality. And you're just a laid-back, cool, calm, and collective mother trucker. Nate, IBT Media, 32 and 32, Sports Me, anywhere and everywhere. Where can they find you if they want more of those yum-yums?
So at JanejackFF on Twitter, at 32 and 32FF, at IBT_media, at The Lateral. I have a weekly column coming out now, Monday recap of the weekend. I write a dynasty column for at FF Collective, which is collective with a K and no E at the end. And I'm just everywhere.
I was going to say.
Coming off the edge every Tuesday at 7 p.m. Eastern. I'm doing the damn thing.
That's a fun show, it seems like. That's
way fun. Really love that show.
Yeah, really what it came down to is it was four of us who were close. We're good friends, and we wanted to do something. And we transitioned it into, we've done like theme dinners. We drafted our favorite cookies this week. And we talk a little bit of fantasy football. We have some drinks.
Give me your favorite cookie real quick.
Oh, Chips Ahoy Chewy.
Ooh,
it's not even well, okay, that's my Jen also makes these they're like peanut butter cookies with the Hershey Kiss.
Oh yeah.
Press in the middle right after you bake them, and they're fantastic. She's the best baker in the world, man. She's so good.
Don't underestimate carrot cake Oreos either.
I've seen those. I will have to try them. Interesting.
Yeah, you'll eat the whole package.
I believe it.
Brad, where can they find you?
Hey, ffaffair.com, Fantasy Affair FF on Twitter, or at FF Bourbon Dude if you're looking for myself.
All up in my feels tonight with the Bronco family. We got Browns on deck, guys. Thank you to everybody. Psych, Aquavision, M. Leezy, JT Moving, all these Matt, Rico Beats, Aquavision, you name it. You guys killed it tonight. Thank you for your questions. I am the MattyDaddy FF. Oh, and we're out of here, guys. Thank you all for everything. Till next week. It has been a pleasure.